and we are honored to have Maris and Emma here tonight. I just want to do a couple quick announcements before we kick things off. I want to let everyone know that we're going to be hosting Ayman Ishmael on the 8th. That's with Remy Youssef, also co-hosting with Books Are Magic, so we're very excited for that one. And wanted to give everyone a heads up that we were hosting Sonita Alizada on the 10th. That was an event that was supposed to be happening in person. However, due to the recent travel bans, she is not able to come into the country, and we will be hosting virtually. So we'd love it if everyone could give us some support on that and get on the Zoom. So check out the flyers upstairs for that. That's on the 10th. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Alexa from Books Are Magic.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexa. Thanks so much for coming out tonight. I'm on the events team at Books Are Magic, which if you don't know is an independent bookstore just a few blocks from here. And we are so excited to bring Maris Kreizman and Emma Straub to this gorgeous library to celebrate the launch of I Want to Burn This Place Down. Before we get started, I want to point out just some logistics for how tonight's event is going to go. First, I want to thank the Brooklyn Public Library for co-hosting tonight's event. You guys are the best. I love doing events here. We love being here, so thank you. If you need to use the restroom at any point, it's just located down the hall to the left through the double doors. And then we'll be doing a hand-raised audience Q&A at the end of the discussion, during which we'll pass around a wireless mic to anybody who has a question, so start thinking of some now. After the talk tonight, Maris will be signing and personalizing books on stage. We're going to bring out a table. It's all very official. And if you're joining us on the YouTube live stream, we'd love to encourage you to buy a copy of I Want to Burn This Place Down online using the link in the live stream description. All right, to the good stuff. Kreizman's debut essay collection, I Want to Burn This Place Down, is an introspective, searing account of the life experiences that have pushed this former good Democrat even further to the political left. Disturbed by the depth and scope of the liberal myths in which she once so fervently believed, Kreizman takes readers on an intimate journey that revisits some of her most profound revelations, demonstrating that it's never too late to become radicalized. Maris Kreizman is an essayist and columnist for Literary Hub, whose work has appeared in the New York Times, New York Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, the LA Times, Vanity Fair, and Esquire. A former board member of the National Book Critics Circle, she served as judge for the annual MCC Awards, as well as for the NYPL Young Lions Fiction Award. She was previously the editorial director of Book of the Month, the editorial director of digital content at barnesandnoble.com, and a publishing outreach lead at Kickstarter. She lives in Brooklyn with her husband and, of course, her books. As I mentioned before, Emma Straub joins Maris in conversation tonight. Emma Straub is a New York Times bestselling author of the novels This Time Tomorrow, The Vacationers, Modern Lovers, and All Adults Here, and the picture books Very Good Hats and Gaga Mistake Day. She and her husband own Books Are Magic, 2 independent bookstores in Brooklyn, New York. Okay, without any further delay, please join me in welcoming Maris and Emma.
Maris deserves those balloons.
Yes.
I can't claim credit for having them appear back there, but they did, and they go with her dress. They do go with my dress. We're tropical. I'm so excited. Everybody, how excited are you? This is a thrill and a long time coming, and yay, I'm so excited. Look at you all. Aw. So you're going to read to us first before I grill you.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Correct.
What are you going to read to us?
I'm going to read a section of my essay about book publishing. I just figured let's play to the crowd in New York City, and I think we all know. Okay. When I sold this book to an imprint of HarperCollins, I knew I would have to do some cognitive aerobics. Very few publishers, even the smallest ones, are entirely pure. Even self-publishing is almost entirely dependent on Amazon, the company whose labor practices have warehouse workers and drivers pissing in jars rather than taking proper bathroom breaks. But HarperCollins is owned by News Corp, and is therefore particularly noxious, aligned as they are with the Fox News propaganda machine. And so it is that noted book banner Ron DeSantis and I share the same publisher. I'm ashamed to tell you how long it took me to realize that just because a book is categorized as nonfiction doesn't mean it's necessarily true. Nonfiction is just a marketing term for a book in which the author purports to be telling the truth. Fact-checking, I learned, is the legal and financial responsibility of the author rather than the publisher. And many thanks to Joanna Archieri, who fact-checked this book on my dime. The responsibility for the accuracy of the text does rest on the author. We do rely on their expertise or research for accuracy, a spokesperson for Hachette Book Group told Esquire in 2020. Each and every publisher that constitutes the big 5 largest companies in corporate book publishing has a similar policy, one that provides authors only a legal read of soon-to-be published books. Hi to the HarperCollins attorney who reviewed this manuscript. And let me keep this in, rather than thorough fact-checking. As you might imagine, some authors are more invested in getting the facts right than others, which is why misinformation runs rampant in so many books that purport to be true. My book proposal was included in this chapter that, my book proposal included this chapter that you're listening to now, in which I call out HarperCollins in particular for being complicit in the spread of disinformation, but the good people of Echo, hi, bought the book anyway, and I'm so grateful. Even in my most bright-eyed, head-down days, when I really believed that literature could change the world, there were books that just felt wrong. Books that seemed to make the world a little worse simply by existing. Rush Limbaugh's smug face sneered at me from the covers of best-selling hate bombs, while Glenn Beck's Global Warming is a Hoax book and Michelle Malkin's anti-immigrant screed sat on the free shelf right alongside Ernest Hemingway and Edith Wharton. Drilled into me back then was the belief that putting out big bestsellers, no matter the style or substance, would always be a net positive. Any lies that an Oprah-endorsed quacks, yes, I did briefly work on a Dr. Oz book, presented as research-driven fact were acceptable because the profits from such books might enable me to acquire the kind of fiction I actually like to read. The homophobic rants of Fox News personalities had a built-in audience, so their guaranteed sales just might allow me to take a chance on a debut story collection from an unknown queer writer. Extremism and hatred and fake science and conspiracy theories sold books, and the spoils of those books would allow new literary voices to emerge. Publishing a diversity of opinions is paramount, or so my elders told me. Even though they are corporate entities, publishers see themselves as arbiters of free speech, fighting the good fight to make sure that a variety of voices, both sides, can be heard. Under this logic, they are able to convince themselves that publishing hate mongers and charlatans is downright noble, even if, especially if, their ideas make you uncomfortable. They could not imagine such ideas could ever cause greater harm than their own discomfort. Even at my most naive, it had always seemed to me that the founding fathers never granted anyone the inalienable right to receive big advances and bigger marketing budgets from large publishing conglomerates for their abhorrent opinions. But what did I know? I didn't really have to reckon with the book publishing world's complicity in spreading hate and lies at the time. Even though I was battling printers during the day and eating bar nuts for dinner, I was still lucky, so lucky, that the content of hateful books produced by the industry in which I was complicit didn't directly impact my life. So it was easy to keep focus on the daily drudgery and not big picture concerns. Then Trump was elected. On that
Thank you for that. Okay, my first question. So the title of this book comes from an episode of Mad Men, which to me feels like a good place to start because when I met you, you were in your Slaughterhouse 90210 period, which was a very good period, everyone. Still just the greatest thing that ever existed. In which, in case you're not familiar, Maris paired stills from TV and movies and lines from great literature. So I thought I would start there, which is like, have you always used pop culture to help you understand yourself? Like, has that always been true for you?
Always, always. And I think I'm a certain age where I can remember before the internet, how else did I learn about the world than through television? Like that was my primary source, and you would have to go so far out of your way to seek different ideas other than the ones that were broadcast to you every single night at 7 p.m.
Yeah, yes. But then, thinking about like your evolution, even just over the years that I've known you, I feel like, you know, if the text that we all shared was, I don't know, Brenda Walsh, perhaps, then like what you were doing, which was, you know, juxtaposing that or pairing that with some, you know, Edith Wharton or something, was very profound to me and meaningful.
Thank you. I just always wanted to fight against the idea that reading was some sort of high society kind of thing, and that watching TV was low and there was no meeting in the middles. And yeah, that's how I view the world.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that the book is so full of that too. It's like it's just studded with, you know, books and in fact, I mean, I have notes about this toward the end, but in addition to Fact Checker, which I would love to hear more about, you also provide footnotes and a reading list. Can you talk a little bit about that sort of extra, what might feel like sort of extra work that went into the making of this book that sort of, I don't know, just like every time you did it, I was like it's proving the point, I think, even more strongly.
I am always hesitant to say that reading books can make you more empathetic on their own. We've seen enough examples at this point of people who read a lot of books and are terrible human beings. But I will say that books are the way that I understand the world, and books are the way that I've come to some of the conclusions that I've come to. And reading the internet has done the same thing, and I feel like we often talk about how the internet is terrible, and it is, but for so much of my early adulthood, the internet provided me with a way of seeing the world that I hadn't been able to grasp. And I also love that I try to use really pointed headlines to illustrate my point. I'm not thinking of one right now, but it's like, this turd said this.
Yeah, and it feels both educational and amusing to get to those headlines at the bottom of a page. So I want to sort of go back to the beginning of your life. So one of the first essays, or maybe it's the first essay, is about diabetes. And sort of the way I sort of read it was like, illness as a radicalizing factor, which I think it is for a lot of people. And it can obviously come at any point in your life. And I wondered if you can talk a little bit about what seems to me sort of like a double or triple sort of like illuminating moment in your life where you in the essay you talk about various points at which you have sort of wider realizations about the world through the lens of insulin.
Yeah. When I was growing up, I was told that a cure was going to be right around the corner, and that didn't quite pan out. And instead, people started to die from lack of access to affordable insulin. And what I wanted to do in the essay was kind of go back and say, this is hard, like on a day-to-day level, this is hard, and I don't talk about it like that very often because I want to be strong and brave, but like, it sucks. It sucks, and it's something that I'm always thinking about all the time. And then when you think about the added stress of not knowing if you are going to be able to afford your monthly dose of insulin or not, that is just so unfair, especially for a drug that the patent was $1. It was meant to be available to everyone, and America just did not regulate prices at all.
Yeah, and I mean, as we see, today, things, just when you think, oh, this couldn't get worse, there you go. Another thing that you write about in this book is capitalism.
Yes.
Right, as we heard a little bit in the piece that you read. And I love, you talk about Donna Tartt and the secret history and your own sort of college experience, which I just loved. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how alike or perhaps dissimilar your experience at UPenn with Donald Trump Jr. was compared to the secret history by Donna Tartt?
In Donna Tartt's book, everybody is so aware of the surrounding beauty everywhere. And at Penn, everyone was surrounded by the idea of, I don't know, beer bongs? I don't know. But I feel like I went to a public school in New Jersey, and I went to college, and here I was meeting the cream of the crop, the best of the best. And they were not having incredible bacchanalias where they happened to have murdered a person. They were murdering people just out of drunken stupidity. And Donald Trump Jr. was one of the poster boy of this era, I would say, partly because I think at the time, I'm looking for Rebecca, I think we thought he was just a dumb frat boy. I don't think we thought that he was going to be this evil. Like, I didn't think he would have this much power. I just didn't think it was possible.
Yeah. Well, right, because I mean, the essay is also about sort of, your view of meritocracy, and then he's such a beautiful example of the opposite, as he just proves over and over again. Okay, so then coming out of college, one of the things that, one of the sort of themes that, comes in and out of the book is ambition, right? What did your ambition like coming out of college, and what does it look like now?
Coming out of college, I thought that if I worked hard enough, and I was always a hard worker, so why wouldn't I, at a corporate job, because I needed a corporate job so that I would have health insurance to pay for my insulin, that I would keep progressing up the ladder, whatever that ladder was. And through that, I would find fulfillment, and perhaps a 401k, and perhaps home ownership. And now I just want the people that I love, and other people, to live with dignity. I know. But I want people to be thinking about other people all the time, and that seems like a quality that is not valued very highly in this country right now, and that is what I would like.
That sounds like a really good ambition, Mary. Reading this book really just like reminded me, not that I'd forgotten, but just reminded me over and over and over again, the horrors that we were subjected to as children and as teenagers and as young women, in the form of films such as like Poison Ivy and The Crush, and etc. Like, because if I don't think about it, I'm like, yeah, perfect films.
Those were perfect films.
Great films. Great films. Like, I mean, Drew Barrymore in Poison Ivy, you cannot get better than that.
No.
But then if you just pause a little bit, then you have a chapter that is about the police. Later on, you talk a lot about the Police Academy movies, which I like really had not thought about in so long, and I was like shocked reading your description. I mean, I have seen so many Police Academy movies, but I just the things that we were presented with as comedies as children,
And sort of like as the way the world works. Like, you can't believe these teenage girls, they're always lying about rapes, you know?
they're crazy.
They're crazy.
They're crazy and they're lying always,
Always.
because
They want to ruin a good man.
they want to ruin some man in khakis life.
They're always in khakis. And yeah, Police Academy is incredible because they're basically raunchy sex comedies, but also with police.
No, it's like Porky's. It's like
Porky's, but at the
Porky's.
Police Academy.
Yeah.
And they were delightful, and Bobcat Goldthwait still gives one of the best performances I have ever seen, but his character is someone who, he's a punk, he's bad, he wears a leather jacket, that's how you know, he wears a black leather jacket. And then in the third movie, he was like, I'm done with my leather jacket, and he turns it in, he's like, I'm good now. And then they were like, oh, he's good now, so.
What do you think? I mean, what do you think are the things now that like not just children and teens and tweens are subjected to, but like what are the things that we're consuming now that you think, oh God, in 20 years we're gonna say, how could we have been watching this? How could we have shown our children this and said, this is a comedy?
I think overall the valorization of very rich people is really, really tough. And I love that shit. I will watch all of the shows. Succession was one of my favorite shows of all time, but I would have to say that part of it was the writing was so sharp.
Yeah.
And people identifying as a Jeremy Strong or a Kieran Culkin, I think is so fun and also a little dangerous in the end.
When the White Lotus was having its like crazy moment for this last season, I watched some interview with Patrick Schwarzenegger, who said that like after the first couple of episodes had aired, that like bros were coming up to him on the street, and be like, yeah, Saxon, you know, like giving him high five, like fully like. Finally, one of us, you know? And then there's this scene, the like incest sex scene. And then after that, everyone's like,
Representation matters. Not that.
no, I think you're totally right. Okay, one in all of the essays, but particularly in one called My Dumb Obsessions, there are pieces of wisdom pulled from books, which made me feel in some way that you are still, that you really do read as if you're still doing Slaughterhouse 90210, like just for yourself all the time. Is there like a collected Kreizman like quotations? Like, is there some volume in which you write down all of the things that you read that you want to remember?
I don't add to the Google Doc anymore. It was like a couple hundred pages.
Wow.
I can still search it very quickly though if I'm looking for something.
And wait, we can't move off of that too quickly because I want access to it so badly.
I'll share it with you.
So you're reading absolutely anything for any reason, you come across a sentence you need, it goes straight into the Google Doc.
Yes.
Is it organized in any way, or is it just?
And but you know, that's what it makes search function so helpful.
Yeah.
And I don't know, a few years ago I was talking to oh my gosh, I'm gonna blank on her name.
It's fine. A very smart person.
A very smart person who makes a lot of great references all the time in her works, and she said she had a Google Doc and that's what she did. And now I kind of, if I'm underlining a book that much, I can't draw a straight line that well, but like it's in pencil. I am just going to keep that book on a specific shelf so that I have easy access to it. So that when I was looking to put quotes in this book, I knew where to start looking.
Oh my God, I love that, the special shelf. How often does the special shelf grow?
Pretty often.
This is like a special bookcase.
Yeah, it might have to grow to another shelf. What happens is I have the books in the back, and then I have piles in front, and the piles in front are just about to take over.
Yeah, I mean, this is the great problem.
Listen.
But what can you do? I mean, what are you gonna do? Get rid of them?
No,
no, certainly not. I feel like the world needs the Google Doc, though. Like, I just want to, I know there are a lot of people who work in publishing here. Like, I think, didn't Dwight Garner publish one? I think he did.
He did a Google Doc?
No. I mean, maybe. That guy is crazy. No, he published like a book of quotes, which guys, that's a free idea. Okay, you can take it. Like I won't even take a commission.
And mine will have a lot more Lori Moore in it.
Yeah, it will, and I am ready. Okay, I know pretty soon I think we're gonna have to ask for these people to contribute questions too. Okay, when I asked you if there was anything you wanted to talk about tonight, you said only one word. There was only one word that you said. Do you want to say the word?
Zarana.
I don't know, Maris, what does hope feel like? What does joy feel like?
You know, I wrote this book about how no one's listening, how the Democratic Party has kind of just given up, and what an amazing experience it was to see last week that there is someone who cares, who likes the people that he's supposed to try to represent, who respects them, and who beat the shit out of Andrew Cuomo. That really gives me hope that the message of this book is breaking through.
I mean,
It was me.
Let's just go with that. Okay. He had his big day. And we'll have more. But yes, I think Maris, I think you can take any amount of credit you would like. Okay, before I open up for questions, I think you mentioned Twitter. You said something about Twitter. There are, it's funny now, because it hasn't been that long of a period of time. When we were in the green room, Maris and I were talking about when we met, which was a long time ago, almost 15 years ago, but I couldn't remember exactly when Maris did, because she's better than I am, but it was because we really met on the internet before we met in person.
Tumblr, RIP.
Right, and so I want to talk to you about that period of the internet a little bit, which felt, it sounds ridiculous and horrible and false to say it, but it felt so good. It felt so positive. I made so many friends on Twitter, which is like, it's like telling someone like, oh yeah, I made so many friends hanging out at the garbage dump by the burning tires, But it's true, it used to be a really nice neighborhood over there. Which corner of the old internet do you miss the most? If you could resurrect any of it, what would you resurrect?
Oh, the book people on Tumblr were just, it was the first time I really felt like I had found my people. We didn't have the tools to do that before, and I had a lot of good people in my life, but this was like, oh, these weirdos are my weirdos. And I should also mention that Twitter, this is gonna sound even more sad, but I think we don't give enough respect to how much Twitter helped me see the world in different ways when it was first starting to get going. When independent voices could tweet about things that maybe the mainstream press wasn't covering, and suddenly see how the mainstream press has been keeping shit from us for a long time, and how empowering that was to be able to go directly to the source.
I guess it's sad. Okay, Alexa has a microphone? No? Oh, she's gonna take this one. Please raise your hand if you have a question for Maris, and Alexa will bring this to you. Emily has a question.
I'm coming. Hi, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. But since you wrote in your book about your early career that sort of peaked in junior high school, of being a star of the off Broadway scene,
I just wondered if you would like acapella with a few bars of Another Suitcase in Another Hall from Evita. No pressure. Like, but, you know, just a little pressure.
I planted her.
I just feel like Evita is in the culture right now, and I wanted to celebrate that.
So let me set the scene. I was 15 years old. I was at the Jewish Community Center in the community theater production of Evita. And I had beat out, 4 or 5 other girls to get this role as the mistress. And it was the first time that I felt like I'm a grown-up, like I'm doing stuff. And my costume was a slip with an old suitcase, and that was it. And then I was in the spotlight for one moment. Oh my gosh, am I gonna do this?
Yes.
I don't expect my love affairs to last for long. Never fool myself that my dreams will come true. Everything else comes together.
Well done, Emily.
Hello.
Hi.
What is your most memorable item you ever bought at Loman's, and how much did
It was a purple Nicole Miller dress that was like kind of gathered in ways that made it look flattering. And I think it was $100, and I think that the retail cost was about $600. And so I saved the receipt and I still feel great about it.
Hi, I have more of a thing I wanted to say.
Jason!
I always wanted to be that guy. So you wrote this book, and writing a book is a very taxing process, and it's the year of our Lord 2025. All this bad shit is happening. It's your mental health is probably getting just dinged in the head left and right every day. How important was the role of pugs in keeping you as you were writing? Because I feel like that is an important thing. Every writer needs that thing that's going to keep them tethered to sanity, and I feel like pugs maybe. Guessing.
R.I.P. Busy the Pug. Busy the Pug. Josh also dedicated his comedy special to her. She was a grumpy, mean old lady, and we loved her so much. And it took less time than I had thought until we were ready for someone new. And Maggie the Pug, who comes from Prone, the pug rescue of New England. She was living in Worcester before we met her. Has just been an absolute joy, and it really helps. It helps having something to focus on and to stress over who isn't oneself or my newsfeed. And she is great at that. And my parents are going to take her home with them tomorrow morning while I go on book tour.
Hey Maris, congrats.
Hi, Io.
I have a song request too. I am curious if you could talk a little bit about using publishing to critique publishing, and what do you think is the importance of that, and what were the strategies that you used to be able to do that effectively to write a book that is criticizing book publishing?
Well, thank you for that question. I should mention first that I read Taja Eisen's essay collection a few years ago, and it was the first time that I saw an author actually critique her own publisher. And I thought, oh, that seems freeing, and that seems like something I would like to do. And I think one of my big causes in the past 10 years, say, is the role that book publishing plays in disseminating disinformation. And still, so many people who work in publishing think that it's a noble profession. And yes, it is in so many levels until it's really not. And then it's the worst of capitalism, just like find the guy who will sell the most amount of books by saying hateful things, and make someone who perhaps that person hates work on the book and actually like photocopy the pages, and then feel like you deserve a pat on the head. And I'm just so lucky that at HarperCollins there is an imprint called Echo where they let me do this, where I couldn't believe the lawyers let me do this. And I was grateful, but also I was like, what else do the lawyers let people do? Not good.
Hi, Maris.
Hi, Lindsay.
You read a lot of books.
It's true.
Could you please explain to us how you read so many books so quickly and maybe give us like a sample schedule of your consumption habits so that we can all feel inferior?
So I always want to preface this by saying I don't have a full-time job and I don't have children. And the combination of those things gives me a little bit more freedom than your average person. And my goal is to read one book a week and then to listen to one book a week. And the listening, I thought I didn't like audiobooks, and they've really changed my life. It's just like to have another input, to be able to get books in there, you know, is really helpful. And so that's what I'm doing most of the time, 2 a week.
1.0 speed?
No,
What speed?
1.3 or 1.4. It's, you know, I don't want anyone to sound like a chipmunk.
Hello.
Hi.
With your essay collection, how did you know you were making a book? You know, and like, were some of the essays published beforehand, and when did you sort of realize, oh, this is something I want to put together?
Some of the essays in here, very brief moments of some of them have been taken from other essays that I actually published. But my goal was, during lockdown, I wrote an essay about ambition for the publication Gen, G-E-N, R-I-P, like so many wonderful past publications. And it went a little viral, and it was really about ambition. And at that point, it was very much about my lack of ambition. How I felt like I was working towards something that didn't have a positive outcome, that I couldn't expect anything good to come from it. And from there, I thought, like, what if I start writing about what my ambitions actually are then? And that's really how it came to be. And so these are all original, except for little blurbs.
Hi, Maris.
Hi, Rach.
Okay, so I just wanted to know, of all the essays in the book, which one you found the hardest to write, or that you procrastinated on because you were just like, I can't do it, and then you overcame, and then which just kind of, not that anything ever pours out of a writer, but sort of came out of you with the most joy and ease.
I had many sleepless nights thinking about the essay about propaganda. So not to spoil anything, but my older brothers are twins and they're both police officers, or they were. And I wanted to be able to show how disillusioned I had become with the idea of policing overall, while still being able to show that I really love my brothers and I love their children and I respect them, sort of. And I wanted that tension to exist in the piece. I wanted you to feel my nerves about it. The one that came easiest was that I have an essay about Bill Clinton. And it's so amazing because my parents took me to a Bill Clinton rally the night before he was elected president in 1992. I was a little kid. And I worshipped him. I thought he was just like the coolest guy who was going to change the world. And it became very easy to think about how my politics have shifted by thinking about how my opinion of Bill Clinton has shifted. And until today, like really, he just keeps.
Speaking of changing opinions, you've both written extensively about like our changing New York in your last novel, and of course. So I'm curious, what is the best writing snack, and what place should we all do our best to make sure it stays open and never closes, so we never have to close it? Ooh.
My snacks are too humiliating.
That's not humiliating.
Oh no, then she hands me the microphone. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I mean, when I write, I am at home, and so all of my snacks are just like my leftovers. You know, it's like, I'm like, how early can I eat lunch? And it's like 10:25. So that's me snacking at home. But when I'm at the bookstore, specifically this one on Montague Street, I go 2 doors down to Lastman Hennig's Deli, like I would say 7 to 12 times a day. There are so many things that they have that I need a lot of, you know? It is my happy place. I can so easily eat 3 full meals there in a day, within the span of like 8 hours, you know, because like you really don't have to space that out unless you're diabetic. If you're just, if you're more like eating because you're, I don't know, hungry, anxious, you know, any combo, those are some of mine. Yeah, I vote everything in Last and Innings.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say that I'm gonna blame it on my diabetes, but I don't think this is true. I just eat so many Polly-O string cheeses. Like I'm your toddler. That's the hope, and my big hope for the future is that frozen yogurt comes back. Because a lot of frozen yogurt chains have had very good sugar-free flavors, and that would allow me to indulge a little more.
We're getting a new 16 handles on.
I know. All right, we have time for about one more.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to know what it was like. It's writing about your experience with living in a body with type 1 diabetes, because it's a lot.
I know you know,
Yeah.
and I know your husband knows. I feel like this was the first essay I wrote trying to write this book because I feel like I've always tried to articulate what it was like, and it was sort of impossible. And when I finally got my continuous glucose monitor, I was able to sort of quantify how often I was looking at my blood sugar and like thinking about it and having my decisions guided by it. And what I realized is that it was a fucking lot. It was a ton. And I think, again, like, I don't want to be a complainer. I don't want to be weak. I just want people to know that the day-to-day is a lot of work. And I didn't even know I was allowed to say that.
And statistically, you make 300 more decisions a day than other people.
Correct.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for coming out. A few quick reminders before we all get up. If you're still with us on the YouTube live stream, please click the link in the description box below and buy this wonderful book. If you're with us here tonight, we're selling them in the back if you didn't grab a copy yet. And then if you'd like your copy signed, we're going to be doing a signing at the end of the event. Just line up along this wall all the way up to the stage and come on up. A dream. Meeting the authors in person, so exciting. Please make sure to grab any personal belongings so the library staff can also start breaking down. Thank you guys again so much. Another round of applause.